Hi folks, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. And not your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Welcome back from the Daily Wire. FBI finds scant evidence that the January 6th riot was the result of organized plot to overturn election from Reuters. Oh, you mean it wasn't some organized huge plot to overthrow the government and we need to impeach the current sitting president? How does that go? Those of you that are older remember the TV show Gomer Pyle, USMC, and he used to go, surprise, surprise, surprise. No, not really a surprise, but surprise to the progressives and left-wing nuts. The FBI has reportedly found little evidence that the Capitol riot on January 6, 2021 was part of an organized plot to overturn the results of the election. Reuters reported Friday morning that multiple law enforcement officials have told them that despite hundreds of arrests made by the FBI at this point believes the violence was not centrally coordinated by far-right groups or prominent supporters of then-President Donald Trump. Let's read that again. Reuters reported Friday morning that law enforcement officials have told them that despite hundreds of arrests made by the FBI at this point believes the violence was not centrally coordinated by far-right groups or prominent supporters of then-President Donald Trump. According to the sources who may have been either directly involved or in brief regularly on the wide-ranging investigation. Yeah. Interesting. But when Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and all those groups were using social media, i.e. Twitter, Facebook, and other social platforms to organize riots that caused billions of dollars worth of damage. It's like Carl Sagan, billions and billions. Remember him, Carl Sagan? Just down the road from me in Cornell. I live in upstate New York. All of a sudden, there was no FBI investigation at all. Isn't that interesting? Makes you wonder. FBI investigators did find that the cells of the protesters, including followers of the far-right Oath Keepers and Proud Boy groups, had aimed to break into the Capitol. Okay, maybe they wanted to go into the Capitol to protest. I'm not sure if their goal was to smash it down. But they found no evidence that the groups had serious plans about what to do if they made it inside. Yeah, all they wanted to do was protest. They didn't like the way, and I can't go into detail, what happened last year, and you know what I mean, in the first Tuesday in November of last year. They didn't like it. They thought there was some unrefrigerated fish. Let me read that again. But they found no evidence that the groups had serious plans about what to do if they made it inside. They were just protesting, and if you notice, they just wandered around for a while. Here's the funny part. Just a couple hours after the Capitol was cleared from the rioters, they certified the Electoral College vote. Did you see the inside of the chamber? Was it trashed? Nope. Was everything else smashed to pieces and spray paint, graffiti all over the place? Nope. Why? Because they had respect for the House of Representatives, the chamber. They have respect for our government, not the people that are in it. That are in our government, there's a huge difference. They respect the Senate. Yeah, they smashed some doors, smashed some windows. And the only shot fired, the only guns that anybody had were the people of law enforcement. And a poor lady, I believe her name is Babbitt, was shot and killed. Still haven't found out who the person pulled the trigger. Isn't it interesting? Now, believe me, if that was a police officer in a major city and that was a black young man, not only would you have the officer's name, but where they lived, everybody in their family's names and their social security numbers, blood types, and every first cousin they have for in a 500-mile radius. What grades they got in high school and who they dated, and pictures from their wedding if they're married. Yeah. But what do we get? Who is the person that pulled the trigger that killed that poor young Air Force veteran? And the answer is, so far, crickets. It's really interesting. And it's funny how the internet helped the Democrats immensely, just with the censorship and what they did with Hunter Biden laptop and all those things. What did I read somewhere? I think it was 41% of Democrats that voted for Biden last year did not know about the Hunter Biden laptop. And out of those, 17% said if they had known, they wouldn't have voted for Biden. But here's the thing about the internet. You can't keep the truth down forever. It slowly creeps out, leaks out, because they don't control 100% of it. In channels like this one, even though I'm small, there are big channels, there are other websites. The truth finally gets out. Now, the Daily Wire, of course, is huge. As my buddy, the president, used to say, huge. It's huge. And everybody knows it. It's huge. Is doing extremely well getting the truth out. Former law enforcement official told Reuters that 95% of the cases the DOJ is prosecuting are one-off cases. Then you have 5% maybe of those militia groups that were more closely organized, the former official said. But there was no grand scheme with Roger Stone and Alex Jones and all those people to storm the Capitol and take hostages. The FBI has reportedly not found any evidence that former President Donald Trump or anyone in his direct orbit were involved in planning the riot. Let me read that again. The FBI reportedly not found any evidence that former President Donald Trump or anyone in his direct orbit were involved in planning the riot. Oh, gosh. You know, I was at a chess tournament, and I live in upstate New York and Massachusetts, and I got into it with a guy outside about the insurrection and blah, blah, blah. And you know, and of course I hooked him a little bit. I said, yeah, all those hunters there were arrested. You know, insurrection is a serious charge. You can go to jail for 20-plus years and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, absolutely. And how they go F this and F that. And I asked him, God, how many hunters do you think were charged with insurrection? Oh, probably close to all of them and blah, blah, blah. The answer is 0. 0 individuals have been charged with insurrection. Even the Department of Justice, the FBI, all think there is no evidence to charge anyone that was arrested with insurrection. Insurrection's a huge deal. Why do they keep calling it the insurrection? Amazing to me. It's like a marching band having no musical instruments. It doesn't really mean much. More than 170 people have been charged so far with assaulting or impeding a police officer. Impeding a police officer could be something as simple as you stood in their way. It's nickel-diming. Assault's something different. If you assault a police officer, yeah, you should get fined and some short jail time. But the assaults are very minor in nature. There was a few. I know there was, you're going to say, oh, John, you're full of crap. Yeah, there was a few that used violence. Some officers were hurt. No one was killed except for Miss Babbitt, the Air Force veteran, and killed by a police officer pulling the trigger. Now, how many guns were brought in by these so-called insurrectionists? The answer, again, is 0. Now, do you think for a minute, as a percent of people in the general population, that maybe the people that were protesting, that rioted, would be in the group of people with a very high percent of gun ownership or access to firearms? The answer is yeah. How many were brought in during this riot? The answer is 0. Because they have respect for the institution. Now, a little misguided what they did, and it was really incredibly stupid. But nonetheless, they still respect the institution. They just can't stand the people that are in it. More than 170 people have been charged so far with assaulting or impeding an officer, according to the Justice Department, the report added. But one source said there has been little, if any, recent discussion by senior Justice Department officials of filing charges such as seditious conspiracy to accuse defendants of trying to overthrow the government. They have also opted not to bring racketeering charges often used against organized criminal gangs. Yeah, RICO stuff, it's like a blanket thing. They do that with everybody, and they chose even not to do that. Democrats used the events of the day to launch a second impeachment inquiry into Trump, which was ultimately acquitted of by the U.S. Senate. Yep, and there you have it. Even the biased DOJ and the Department of Justice, run by Garland. Remember him? He was supposedly the one that got screwed out of the Supreme Court seat, Merrick Garland. He is the Attorney General. And they didn't find any evidence of insurrection. A few hundred people acting like asses, incredibly stupid, in destroying property, yes, they should make restitution. The ones that broke anything or assaulted police officers should go to jail. The people that just wandered in after the fact, give them a trespassing fine and let them go. But they've got hundreds they physically arrested. And this, folks, is so one-sided and ridiculous. You remember, I don't know if you're old enough, some of you that are listening to the 1960s and early 70s of the protest march of the Vietnam War, and the crowd was chanting, "The whole world's watching. The whole world's watching." And look on the mainstream media and see how much of this is going to be reported that's scat evidence. Not even RICO, organized crime, blanket charges. Nothing. Unbelievable. And actually it's not, because there is nothing there. It's just a couple of hundred people acted incredibly stupid, and they let their emotions get the best of them, and their frustrations take over, and they use their emotions exclusively, just like progressives and leftists do. Compared to the billions of dollars in damage done in the United States last year by rioting, this is nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is like killing somebody and somebody jaywalking, and the person that jaywalks goes to jail, but the one that kills somebody makes bail. It's ridiculous and it's crazy. And the truth is finally coming out bit by bit. Or the people that hate Donald Trump or believe there was an insurrection believe it? Probably not. But I hope and pray that over 50% of the electorate does believe it. And the midterms are coming. And I hope I live long enough to see the 2024 election. If this thing goes the way it goes, and we're only 6 months in the Biden administration, and the Republicans get their act together, which is unlikely, but eventually even a blind squirrel finds a nut when the Republicans take over next year and they start, instead of fighting the Democrats, they actually do something. Maybe we'll see. 45 state sweep? It's possible. Anyway, folks, I just thought you'd like to know what's going on with our Justice Department and our Attorney General's office. Again, scat evidence that January 6th riot was the result of organized plot to overturn the election. And until next time, goodbye and good luck.